elections over the years, and many are saying that perhaps these ones are the most important. I guess 20 years down the line, a lot of issues have been discussed, progress made, and a lot of young people are coming through the ranks and their voice is going to be heard for the first time. That's if they register, and that's if they show up to vote. And we'll be chatting to Advocate Tlakula about the registration process. I believe there's another opportunity for you to register if you haven't, and we'll chat about many issues that you might have of concern, questions that you want cleared up. Today's the day. Anything about elections and the IEC and how it works and how you can be part of the voting process. Today's your day to ask those all-important questions. At SABC Morning Live, hashtag TNA BizBrief are the Twitter handles. But enough from me. Let's hear from our guest of honor as she comes to the stage to share her thoughts with us and begin our conversation this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Chairperson of the Independent Electoral Commission, Advocate Pansy Tlakula. You can participate in this conversation fully. Hashtag TNA BizBrief at Morning Live SABC. That's the Twitter handles to use, and we certainly look forward to hearing from you. And don't forget, if you don't vote, you've got to shut up for 5 years, actually, because that's your opportunity to share your thoughts. All right. Let's hear from Advocate Tlakula about the IEC and the upcoming elections.
Thank you very much, Peter. Good morning. Good morning. Absheni. Dumela. Goeiemorgen. That's much better. Honored guests, leaders of political parties present here today, the editor of the New Age magazine, New Age newspaper, I beg your pardon, Mr. Mohsin Williams, my colleagues, the Deputy Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, and the Chief Electoral Officer, Mr. Moyebja, and the Deputy Chief Electoral Officer, Electoral Operations, Mr. Sai Mamabolo. They are here with me today because they are going to answer all the difficult questions. I'm just here to make a speech. So please don't ask me any questions, direct them to my colleagues who are sitting at table number 8. That's where they are. Let me start by thanking you for taking time off to be here with us today. A special word of gratitude, of course, goes to the sponsors of this event, namely the New Age, SABC, and Transnet. And thank you very much for providing us with a platform to talk to the nation about our preparations for the forthcoming elections. On the 27th of April 1994, South Africans of all races, cultures, religions, and genders stood side by side to cast their votes in what became a historic moment in this country. Exciting as these elections were, they were quite complex, both from the political and technical perspectives. Politically, there were high tensions and mistrust amongst different political players. There was also anxiety among many people about how these elections would unfold. Some left the country, while others stockpiled food in anticipation for the worst. Technically, there were many challenges. Preparations for these elections had to be done in just less than 5 months. There was no voters' roll, and people could vote wherever they wanted, which made planning very difficult. Multiple forms of identity documents could be used to vote, but there were large numbers of people who had to be issued with voters' cards because they did not have any form of identification. Counting of votes was centralized, and this caused a logistical nightmare and delays in the announcement of the results. Most of the people who were involved in the administration of these elections had very little electoral experience, if any. These challenges notwithstanding, there was a lot of goodwill among South Africans. The elections were generally peaceful, and the outcome thereof was accepted by all. This earned us the title of a miracle rainbow nation. A lot has changed since then. In 1996, the Constitution established the present-day Electoral Commission, which was established in July 1997. This commission had an unenviable task of compiling the national voters' roll in preparation for the 1999 elections. The basis of a voter's roll is dividing the country into voting districts and for the people in each voting district to register as voters. To achieve this, an electronic geographical database had to be created within a period of months, and the number of people residing in each voting district had to be registered. This was done over a period of 3 weekends at the end of 1998 and at the beginning of 1999, during which 18.1 million South Africans presented themselves to be registered. What started as an organization of 20 full-time employees has now grown to an organization of about 1,110 permanent employees at national, provincial, and national levels. The Electoral Commission has managed 6 provincial, national, and municipal elections and has developed expertise that has enabled it to hold its own among election management bodies on the African continent and globally. This is evidenced by a number of awards that the organization has received over the years. These awards include the following: the National Productivity Institute Award in 1999. The Commission became the first ever recipient of the Platinum Award in the National Productivity Institute Award competition, which has been held annually since 1979. Giving reasons for the choice, the adjudication chairperson, Mr. Aubrey Chalata, said at that time, and I quote, the 1999 elections stood as a monument to vision, innovation, energy, and determination. Within impossibly difficult timeframes, the Electoral Commission delivered elections to the people of South Africa, of which we may all be justifiably proud, close the quote. The Commission also won the Southern African Logistic Society Awards given by the Southern African Logistic Society in 1999 for excellence in logistics. It also won the Computer World Smithsonian Award presented to the Commission in Washington, D.C. in June 2000. An independent panel of judges found the achievement to be among the most significant applications of information technology to society. It also won the Lurie Award Gold Medal in 2005 for corporate video and events, non-broadcasting video and film. The Gold Awards from PRISA for the publication of the Atlas of Results for the 2009 national elections. An award for the election results slip scanning devised in 2011 from the African Association for Public Administration and Management in the category of innovative management. This award was presented to us in Lilongwe, Malawi. In 2011, again, the election results slip scanning device also won the United Nations Public Service Award in the category Preventing and Combating Corruption in the Public Service. And this award was given to us in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. The Accessibility Award in 2013 in recognition of outstanding initiatives by election management bodies to ensure that a category of populations which has been partly or wholly excluded from the electoral process in the past, be it for physical, geographic, social, cultural, or educational reasons, is brought back in electoral democracy. In the same year, 2013, the Commission also won an Equality Award in recognition of the electoral commissions who made extensive efforts in their countries to guarantee proportionality and representativeness of elections. And both these awards were given to us in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. We are humbled by these accolades. However, we still have a lot to learn as an organization. Each election brings its own challenges. And as we prepare for the 2014 national and provincial elections, we are aware that these challenges may escalate. That is why we have and are continuing to prepare meticulously for these elections. From about 9,000 to 10,000 voting stations in 1994, the number of our voting stations has increased to 22,363,000 for the coming elections. This facilitates easier access to our voting stations and improves on our efficiency by reducing the time it takes for voters to cast their votes. The 50,000 registration staff has been recruited and trained and are ready for the final registration weekend of the 8th and 9th November 2014. We are finalizing the recruitment and training of approximately 22,000 staff who will be working, 220,000, I beg your pardon, 220,000 staff who will be working at our voting stations on Election Day. Registration of South Africans out of the country is currently taking place at our missions in 180 countries. From the 5th to the 7th of February 2014, we will be visiting all our correctional facilities across the country to give prison inmates the opportunity to register. The Commission has focused on further improving the flow of information to political parties and the public at large. To this end, our website has been made mobile-friendly, and it is easy for people to establish where to register and if they are at all registered. Voters can use this facility by sending their ID numbers to 32810. You can do that right away, 32810, or check their registration details on our website, which is www.elections.org. Over 500,000 people used these facilities during the 2 days of our first registration weekend. The Commission is also active on social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and in addition, has a call center where the public could be helped with whatever information they seek. We are continuing to engage with different stakeholders on elections. To this end, we have already engaged with the farming community, and further engagements will be held with various interest groups, including the media, youth formations, trade unions, faith-based organizations, the business community, organizations representing people with disabilities, etc. Our civic education program, which has been ongoing, will soon be replaced by voter and balloting education as soon as we know the participants in the election. As in the past, we will ensure transparency of our result collation process. In this regard, we are in the process of identifying firms that will audit the result system and the correct capturing of results on election day. And as we have done in the past, we will capture the results electronically into the result system and scan the result slip for each voting station. These will be accessible to both the media and political parties. At last count, there were 185 registered political parties, 135 at national level and 50 at municipal level. In 2009, we used approximately 600 tons of paper for the ballot paper. Depending on how many of these parties will contest an election, we are likely to use more paper. What are the challenges? The participation of young people in the electoral process remains one of our challenges. To help encourage this generation of voters to participate in elections, we have recently launched a communications campaign targeting the youth specifically. It features celebrities from the music, media, and entertainment industries in a television advert talking about why they plan to vote in the elections and urging other young people, young South Africans, to follow suit. The commercial features young artists such as Toya DeLazy, Annelem Daughter, Double HP, Kulichana, Jack Parow, Joey Rasdin, Liquid Deep, Lira, Sashi Naidu, Pabi Muloi, Lala Hirayama, Siabonga Nwekazi, Melinda Bam, Yolisa Bala, and Zolani Mahola. Give me a round of applause. I've tried. I had to ask my children to help me with the pronunciation of some of these very difficult names. I must be honest, when I first heard about this campaign, many of these names meant very little to me. I thought Liquid Deep was a detergent, but I was assured that I'm not the target audience, and that people between the ages of 18 and 29 know exactly who Toya DeLazy is. My daughter kept on saying, pronounce it properly, Mama. It's Toya DeLazy. Is that how it's pronounced? Yeah. The commercial is currently being shown on all SAB channels, ETV, and selected DSTV channels. It is supported by a digital campaign using social media channels, including YouTube, Facebook, Mixit, and Twitter, where young South Africans are joining the conversation about voting by sharing their own reasons for voting. Around the world, and indeed here at home, young people are highly active in social media. They are highly opinionated, and as anyone with a teenage daughter or son will tell you, they are highly engaged in social issues. They feel strongly and passionately about issues facing society. Yet frequently, they feel disengaged and disempowered by traditional democratic processes and institutions. When this happens, they can end up expending their energies and passion on less constructive forms of making their voices heard. Our challenge, and that of all stakeholders in the democratic discourse, is to encourage young people to transfer this enthusiasm for speaking out and making their voices heard in cyberspace and on the streets into the voting booth for the national and provincial elections. The second challenge, over time, political parties have become more experienced in the conduct of elections. The result of this is that the environment within which we operate has become more litigious, with political parties challenging our actions and decisions in a court of law. We welcome this development because although it is time-consuming and often painful, it keeps us on our toes and contributes towards transparency and accountability. In few parts of our country, citizens use elections to highlight economic, social, and political issues. We live in a constitutional democracy where everyone has the constitutional right to peacefully and unarmed assemble, demonstrate, picket, and present petitions. We appeal to all South Africans that they must exercise these rights with due regard to the rights of others to register and to vote. Campaigning has already started, even though an election date is not yet known. As we approach elections, there is a tendency for political temperatures to rise, for tolerance to diminish, for shouting to replace listening, for anger to replace understanding. Fellow South Africans, I cannot overemphasize the role of political parties and the media in helping to cultivate and ensure a climate of tolerance and respect for different views. A fundamental condition for elections to be free and fair is for all parties to be able to campaign freely and without violence or intimidation. We hope that all contesting parties and their supporters will observe the law and the Electoral Code of Conduct. We are engaging with the law enforcement agencies and are impressing upon them to ensure that they will take appropriate action where the law has been violated. In conclusion, I share one of my favorite quotes about democracy. This quote is attributed to Marian Wright Edelman, an African-American lawyer and children's rights advocate, who said, and I quote, "Democracy is not a spectator sport. The Commission pledges itself to the service of democracy. That is why we welcome fair criticism and do our utmost to listen and listen very carefully. We are constantly in pursuit of improvement. As an election management body, we are mindful of the huge responsibility that rests upon us to implement election management processes that will produce an outcome that will be accepted by all contesting political parties and voters. Whatever our successes in the past, we are only as good as our last election. But we cannot achieve our goals alone. Political parties, the media, educational institutions, social partners, civil society, and indeed every South African has a stake in the continuing growth and strengthening of democracy in our beautiful country. We all have a role to play in ensuring that conditions that are conducive to free, fair, and credible elections prevail. This serves not just South Africa, but is important for our beloved continent. 2014 is a significant year in the history of our country, since it marks the 20th anniversary of our hard-earned democracy. Let's celebrate this important milestone by participating in the forthcoming elections in order to strengthen our democracy, lest we look back and regret opportunities we have squandered to make our democracy work. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much indeed, Advocate Pansy Tlakula, who's the chairperson of the Independent Electoral Commission, speaking to us about not just the history of the elections in this country, but the role that the IEC has played and that continues to play. We're going to be taking a break and unpacking some of the things that she said. But I think at the top of that is that we're all in this together. Political parties, media, civil society, everybody, you as well at home. We're all in this together. Let's work together and come up with an election that we can all be proud of 20 years down the line. But let's unpack all of that with your questions and the questions of our audience after this break. Stay with us.